Imagine a desert so vast it swallows secrets whole, a place where the wind carries whispers of names no one dares speak aloud. Picture the year 923 CE, a time when empires rose and fell like the tides, when the world was stitched together by trade routes and tales of the unknown. In the heart of the Kharis Peninsula, a jagged spur of land jutting into the sea somewhere between the realms of ancient Persia and Arabia, there lies a kingdom no map has ever recorded. Its name was Alcazar, and its rulers were the veiled sovereigns, kings and queens who wore masks of beaten gold to hide their faces, their true identities erased from history. They were not just monarchs. They were myths, shadows in the sand, spoken of in hushed tones by caravans crossing the dunes. Their citadel, carved into a cliff overlooking an endless sea of sand, was said to shimmer like a mirage, visible only to those who knew where to look. But by the 10th century, Alcazar had vanished, its kings and queens reduced to whispers, their legacy buried beneath the desert's shifting tides. Until one man, a Bedouin trader named Ziad ibn Malik, stumbled upon a secret that would awaken the wrath of the forgotten. I'm standing here in my mind's eye, on the edge of the Kharis Peninsula, where the sun scorches the earth by day and the stars burn cold by night. The year is 923, and Ziad is not a man of legend. He's a trader, a wanderer, someone who knows the desert like the lines on his own hands. His life is one of survival, bartering goods, dodging bandits, reading the stars to find his way. But on this day, as a sandstorm's aftermath settles, Ziad is chasing fortune. A caravan was lost to the storm, its wreckage scattered across the dunes, and he's hoping to salvage something valuable. Spices, silks, maybe a trinket to sell in the markets of Damascus. His camel plods through the sand, its hooves sinking with each step, when suddenly it stumbles. Ziad curses, thinking it's just another rock, but as he kneels to clear the path, he sees it. A stone slab half buried, its surface worn smooth by centuries of wind. Carved into it is a symbol, a crescent moon pierced by a dagger. His breath catches. He's heard stories of Alcazar, tales told around campfires, of a city that held treasures beyond imagining, guarded by rulers who never died. Most called it a myth, a story to keep children from wandering too far into the desert. But this slab, this symbol, it feels like proof. Ziad's hands tremble as he brushes away the sand, revealing more of the slab. It's no ordinary stone. It's the edge of a gate, bronze and massive, etched with a script no one in his tribe could read. The carvings are intricate, swirling patterns that seem to shift in the fading light, as if alive. There are warnings too, symbols of skulls, of hands raised in supplication, of eyes that seem to watch him. A wiser man might have turned back, but Ziad is driven by something stronger than wisdom, greed. He wedges his crowbar into a crack and pries. The gate groans, a sound like a dying beast, and a gust of cold air rushes out, carrying the scent of myrrh and something else, something sharp, metallic, like blood. Ziad hesitates, his torch flickering in the wind, but the promise of wealth pulls him forward. He steps into the darkness, and the desert behind him feels like it's holding its breath. The tunnel descends, steep and narrow, its walls slick with moisture that shouldn't exist in a place so dry. Ziad holds his torch high, its flame casting shadows that dance like specters. The walls are carved with scenes that make his skin prickle, figures in golden masks, their eyes hollow, holding scepters that glow with an unnatural light. There are battles depicted, but not against men. The enemies are shadows, formless things with too many limbs, their mouths gaping in silent screams. Ziad's heart pounds, but he presses on, drawn by a hum that grows louder with every step. It's not a sound he hears with his ears, it's in his bones, a vibration that makes his teeth ache. The tunnel opens into a chamber, and what he sees stops him dead. The chamber is vast, its ceiling so high it vanishes into shadow, studded with sapphires that glitter like a night sky. Pillars of obsidian rise from the floor, each carved with the same crescent and dagger symbol. At the center of the room are two thrones, black as midnight, and seated upon them are two skeletal figures. They wear crimson robes, tattered but untouched by rot, and their faces are hidden behind masks of gold, each one a perfect, serene smile. Between the thrones lies a stone tablet, its surface inscribed with a single phrase in that unreadable script. The sovereigns sleep, but their will endures. Ziad's torch sputters, and for a moment he swears the mask's eyes glow, faint and red, like embers in a dying fire. He steps closer, unable to look away. On one throne, a jeweled dagger rests in the skeletal hand of the figure, a blade so beautiful it seems to hum with its own light. Its hilt is wrapped in leather, its blade etched with runes that pulse faintly. Ziad's greed whispers louder than his fear. This dagger could make him richer than any sultan. He reaches out, his fingers brushing the hilt. The air changes. The hum becomes a roar, a sound that shakes the chamber. The sapphire ceiling flickers as if the stars themselves are blinking. Ziad snatches the dagger, and the moment he does, the mask's eyes flare bright, blinding him. A voice, neither male nor female, neither human nor beast, echoes in his mind. Return what you have taken or join us in eternity. Shadows move along the walls, tall and cloaked, their forms shifting like smoke. Ziad stumbles back, clutching the dagger, and runs. The tunnel seems to twist, its walls closing in, the carvings now writhing like serpents. His torch dies, plunging him into darkness, but the dagger in his hand glows, its light cold and wrong. The whispers follow him, naming rulers he's never heard of: Queen Sarai, who bound the stars to her will; King Vorin, who drank the blood of dunes; Queen Lirith, who wove fate in shadow. Each name feels like a weight pressing on his chest, slowing his steps. He swings the dagger blindly, hoping to fend off whatever pursues him, but the blade only cuts air. Or does it? Something warm drips onto his hand, blood but not his own. Ziad doesn't know how he escapes. The tunnel spits him out into the desert, the gate slamming shut behind him with a sound like thunder. The slab is gone, buried again as if it never existed. He collapses in the sand, the dagger still in his grip, its glow fading. The desert is silent now, but he feels watched. Days later, a rival trader finds him wandering the dunes, his eyes wild, his clothes torn. He babbles about a city that breathes, about masked sovereigns who see through time. The trader, a man named Hassan, sees the dagger and senses opportunity. He takes Ziad to his camp, hoping to learn more, but that night, Ziad dies. His body is unmarked, but his face is frozen in a scream, his eyes wide with terror. The dagger is gone, vanished from his hand. Hassan doesn't give up. He follows Ziad's tracks, searching for the gate. He finds nothing but sand, smooth and undisturbed, as if the desert has swallowed its secrets whole. But the story doesn't end there. Months later, in a Damascus archive, a Persian scholar named Farid uncovers a fragment of Kharisian lore, a scroll so brittle it crumbles at his touch. It speaks of the Veiled Sovereigns, a dynasty chosen by an ancient entity to guard a relic called the Moon Fang, a blade that could sever the veil between worlds, summoning powers no mortal should wield. The sovereigns, fearing its might, hid it within Alcazar, vowing to protect it even in death. The scroll mentions Queen Lirith, the last of her line, who prophesied that the Fang would resurface when a thief's greed woke the sovereign's wrath. Farid writes this off as myth, but he can't shake the chill of the final line: the sovereigns see all, and their gaze never fades. In 924, a Bedouin camp is found abandoned, its tents shredded, the sand stained red. At its center lies a single golden mask, its eyes glowing faintly under the moonlight. No one claims it. No one speaks of Kharis again. But nomads still tell of a dagger that hums in the night, seeking its rightful owners, the kings and queens who rule from beyond the grave. Let's step back for a moment, out of the desert and into the broader tapestry of history. The Kharis Peninsula, if it existed, would have been a crossroads of cultures. Persian, Arabian, perhaps even touched by the distant echoes of Byzantium. Its rulers, the veiled sovereigns, might have been more than monarchs. Perhaps they were priests, oracles, or something stranger, bound to a power older than the gods themselves. Their golden masks weren't just symbols of authority, they were barriers hiding faces that might have been too terrible, or too divine, to behold. The crescent and dagger symbol, that haunting mark, appears in no other culture, as if Kharis stood apart, a kingdom that refused to be known. Why did they hide? What were they guarding, and what were they guarding it from? Consider Queen Sarai, named in those whispers Ziad heard. The stories say she bound the stars, a poetic way of saying she mastered astronomy, perhaps even astrology, in a time when the heavens were thought to control fate. Her reign, if the legends hold, was one of prosperity, when Alcazar's spires shone like beacons, drawing traders from across the world. But prosperity invites envy, and envy breeds betrayal. Sarai's court, the tales claim, was infiltrated by those who sought the moon's Fang, believing it could grant immortality. She saw through their schemes, her masked gaze piercing their souls, and she banished them to the dunes, where their screams still echo on moonless nights. Sarai's mask, it said, was adorned with sapphires, each one a star she claimed as her own. When she died, the stars dimmed, and Alcazar began its descent into shadow. Then there's King Vorin, the one who drank the blood of dunes. A grim title, but what does it mean? Some say it was a ritual, a pact with the desert itself, drawing power from the earth to sustain his rule. Others whisper of darker rites, of sacrifices made in hidden chambers beneath Alcazar, where the sand ran red. Voron's mask was said to be forged from gold mixed with the ashes of his enemies, its surface etched with veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. His reign was one of war, fending off invaders who coveted Kharis' wealth. But Voron's strength came at a cost. The scroll Farid found hints at a bargain he struck, a deal with an entity that demanded loyalty beyond death. When Voron fell, his throne was empty, but his mask remained, watching over Alcazar like a sentinel. Queen Lirith, the last of the sovereigns, is the most enigmatic. Her prophecy about the Moon Fang suggests she knew Alcazar's end was near. The scroll describes her as a weaver of fate, a woman who could see the threads of time and pull them to her will. Her mask was simple, unadorned save for a single crescent moon at its center, but those who saw it swore it changed with her mood, gleaming when she was pleased, darkening when she was angry. Lirith's reign was marked by silence, as if the kingdom held its breath, waiting for the doom she foresaw. When Alcazar vanished, Lirith's name lingered longest, carried by those who believed she still walked the dunes, her mask glowing in the night. The Moon's Fang itself is the heart of this mystery. A dagger that can sever the veil between worlds. What does that mean? In 923 the concept of other worlds was not science but mysticism. Perhaps the Fang was a key, a tool to commune with entities beyond human understanding. Or maybe it was a weapon capable of destroying not just flesh but the very essence of existence. The sovereigns guarded it with their lives and perhaps their deaths. The chamber Ziad found, with its sapphire sky and obsidian pillars, suggests a place built to contain something powerful. The hum he heard, the glow of the dagger, the shadows that pursued him, all point to a relic that's more than metal. It's alive in some way, bound to the sovereigns and their will. Let's imagine Ziad's journey again, but slower, to feel the weight of what he uncovered. He's in the tunnel, his torch casting flickering light on the carvings. Each step takes him deeper into a world that shouldn't exist, a kingdom that history forgot. The air is cold, unnatural for a desert, and the scent of myrrh grows stronger, mingling with that metallic tang. He's not a brave man, not a hero, just a trader who saw a chance for wealth. But as he reaches the chamber, he feels it, the presence of something vast, something ancient. Those skeletal figures on their thrones aren't just corpses. They're guardians, their masks more than ornaments. When he takes the dagger, he doesn't just steal a treasure. He breaks a pact, one that's held for centuries. The shadows that chase him aren't just illusions. They're the sovereign's will reaching out from death to reclaim what's theirs. Ziad's escape is a blur of panic, the tunnel twisting like a living thing, the whispers growing louder. Sarai, Voron, Lirith, their names are a litany, a warning. He clutches the dagger, its glow his only light, but it feels heavy not just in weight but in meaning. It's as if the dagger knows him, knows his greed, his fear. When he emerges into the desert, he's not the same man. The gate is gone, the slab buried, but the dagger remains, a curse he can't shake. His death days later is no accident. The sovereign's gaze, as the scroll warned, never fades. Now let's consider Hassan, the rival trader. He's pragmatic, a man who sees opportunity where others see madness. Ziad's ravings don't scare him, they intrigue him. He searches for the gate, driven by the same greed that doomed Ziad. But the desert is cruel, and Alcazar is not a place that wants to be found. Hassan's failure is a reminder that some secrets are meant to stay buried. Yet the dagger's disappearance from Ziad's body suggests it's still out there, moving through the world, seeking its masters. The abandoned camp, the shredded tents, the blood-stained sand, it's as if the sovereigns reached out, reclaiming what was stolen, punishing those who dared disturb their rest. The Persian scholar, Farid, adds another layer to this tale. He's not a man of the desert but of books, of dusty archives and forgotten truths. His discovery of the Kharisian scroll is a moment of triumph, but also of dread. The words he reads aren't just history, they're a warning. The sovereigns, the Moon's Fang, the prophecy, they're pieces of a puzzle no one should solve. Farid's notes end abruptly, as if he stopped writing out of fear. Did he sense the sovereign's gaze even in Damascus? Did he see a golden mask in his dreams? The Kharis Peninsula, if it exists, is a place of mystery, a blank spot on the map of history. No archaeologist has found Alcazar, no historian has confirmed its rulers. But the stories persist, carried by nomads, whispered in markets, written in fragments like Farid's scroll. The veiled sovereigns are more than forgotten kings and queens. They're a reminder that some truths are too heavy for the world to bear. The Moon's Fang, if it's real, is still out there, its hum a call to those foolish enough to listen. And the sovereigns? They sleep, but their will endures. Let's walk through Alcazar one last time, imagining its spires rising from the cliff, their gold catching the sun. The streets are bustling, but the people move in silence, their eyes averted from the masked figures who rule them. Sarai stands on a balcony, her sapphire mask gleaming, charting the stars. Vorin walks the battlements, his mask pulsing with veins of gold, his hand on a sword that's never tasted defeat. Lirith sits in a chamber deep beneath the citadel, weaving fates, her mask a mirror to the future. The Moon's Fang rests in a vault, its blade humming, waiting. When Alcazar falls, it's not to war or conquest but to something older, something that demands silence. The sovereigns don their masks one last time, take their thrones and wait. Centuries pass but they remain, their gaze unbroken. Ziad's story is a warning but it's also a lure. The desert hides its secrets well but it rewards the bold, or punishes them. The golden mask found in that abandoned camp is proof that Alcazar's reach extends beyond its walls. The sovereigns are not gone. They're waiting, they're woven into the sand, the stars, the blade that hums in the night. And somewhere in a market stall or a forgotten tomb, the Moon's Fang waits too, its glow a promise and a threat. This is the tale of the veiled sovereigns, the unknown kings and queens of Kharis. Their names, Sarai, Vorin, Lirith, are echoes, their kingdom a shadow. But in the desert, where the wind never stops, their story lives on, a whisper for those who dare to listen. So, the next time you see a crescent moon in the sky, or feel a hum you can't explain, ask yourself, are you ready to face the sovereign's gaze? Because once you do, there's no turning back.